Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we take that fire hose of new information hitting your inbox every morning and distill it into pure cognitive gold.
Mm.
Today, we are strapping in for, well, a high-speed tour through probably the most disruptive tech launch of the year. I'm talking about the sudden arrival of ChatGPT 5.2 on December 11th, 2025.
And this wasn't just, a routine software update. This felt like the shot heard around the knowledge economy.
It really did.
And what we want to figure out for you is the central question everyone is grappling with. I mean, everyone in business, research, creative fields.
Everyone.
Is this new version? Is it the collaborative colleague we've always dreamed of? Or is it, the office villain that's going to silently reconfigure the whole human structure?
That's our mission today. We are skipping the hype and grounding this dizzying speed of innovation in hard, verifiable evidence.
Yeah.
We've been through the academic benchmarks, the source notes, the scientific papers, and we've looked at the practical use cases that highlight what this model can actually do. We want you to finish this deep dive, not just informed, but strategically empowered.
Right, so you could approach your own workflow differently starting tomorrow morning. We need to explore the specific technical leaps that move this model into a whole new category.
And analyze the immediate real-world consequences, especially around labor and the risk of centralization of power. We're looking for clarity amidst all the noise. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the context, because the launch itself, it felt less like a measured product release and more like a sprint to the finish line.
It was definitely under duress. Our source material points directly to an internal code red memo at OpenAI in the weeks leading up to the launch.
Oh, code red.
It's pure competitive pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, the accelerated release, they pushed it up from, I think, a planned end of December date all the way to the 11th.
Yeah.
That was a direct response to rivals closing the gap.
So this is really a global AI arms race.
It is. It absolutely is. And it determines who will dominate the most valuable technology of the next decade.
And the stakes couldn't be higher, right? We know something like 70% of companies globally are already using AI for everything. Supply chains, medical diagnostics.
The pressure to stay ahead is just immense.
So who are the main competitors driving this? Who is putting on the pressure?
The names that keep popping up are Google with Gemini 3. They've been extremely aggressive in enterprise markets.
Okay.
Then you have Anthropic with Claude 4.5, which focuses really heavily on that long context reasoning.
Right.
And you can never forget Meta. They're constantly optimizing Llama in the open source community. So this confluence meant OpenAI couldn't just release a slight improvement.
They needed a knockout.
They had to deliver a disruptive leap that just fundamentally reset the competitive baseline.
And they did that with not one, but 3 distinct versions, which is really important for you if you're looking to actually use this. So why the 3 versions? Why segment it?
It's a move towards specialization. They're recognizing that, raw power isn't useful if it's too slow or too expensive for the task at hand.
Makes sense.
So first you have the instant version. The source material calls it the Velocist, which I think is pretty accurate. It's for your daily quick tasks. Immediate answers, high throughput.
So the digital sprinter for quick emails, basic summaries, that sort of thing.
Precisely. Then you have the thinking version, and that's your deep thinker, your analyst. This is built for really complex reasoning, synthesizing information across, multiple documents.
And it holds a thought for a long time.
Exactly. It maintains long-haul coherence in a discussion that could last hours or even days.
And then finally, the pro version.
Right, the heavy-duty engine. Designed for serious professionals, researchers, data scientists. This segmentation lets them sell massive capacity where it's needed most.
Yeah.
And that capacity, that's what really changes the rules here.
Yeah, that capacity is the headline. Up to 400,000 tokens of context.
400,000.
We have to pause on that number for a second because it is just massive. I mean, previous models, they'd start losing coherence after a few dozen pages. 400,000 tokens is it's like ingesting hundreds of pages of raw text. Think multiple huge legal contracts, a whole book-length research paper, all of it in one single prompt.
And that fundamentally changes the user experience. You're not just asking the AI to summarize a passage anymore.
Yeah.
You're asking to cross-reference legal clauses between a merger document and a regulatory filing it just ingested. It remembered everything you gave it in that session.
Yeah.
It doesn't lose the thread.
And we should note the knowledge cutoff date. They managed to push it to August 31st, 2025. It's not live real-time access.
But it's significantly more current.
Yeah.
It closes that painful gap where you had to manually upload every piece of current information. A lot of that current research is just, it's built in now.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's pivot to what this massive capacity actually lets it do. We're moving beyond just chatting or summarization here. The model now excels at really complex, multi-step integrated tasks.
This is the move from, a sophisticated text machine to a true digital agent. We're talking about the capacity to autonomously create impeccable spreadsheets with complex formulas.
Okay.
Design sophisticated, aesthetically pleasing presentations based on just verbal instructions, and, most critically, writing what they call agentic code.
Wait, agentic code. Let's break that down. For anyone who might not follow the latest developer jargon, what does that mean in simple terms?
It means the AI writes code that doesn't just execute a task.
Yeah.
It has the ability to monitor its own performance, identify bottlenecks, and then rewrite and optimize its own logic to get the job done more efficiently.
So it's self-improving software.
It's self-improving software. It learns from its own failures without a human stepping in.
That is a staggering leap in automation.
Yeah.
And it's not just about text and code. The model is now described as, multimodally surgical?
That's right. Its ability to interpret images is now incredibly precise. So it moves beyond just, recognizing a cat
Right.
to truly analyzing visual data. It can accurately read complex financial charts, identify subtle anomalies in a medical scan, or even analyze the spatial arrangement of complex engineering schematics.
And the user experience has improved too, which is a massive quality of life upgrade. Because of that huge context window, it can process what the sources call eternal documents, those endlessly long legal filings or deep research papers.
And it maintains absolute coherence. You don't have to keep reminding it of something you mentioned 300 pages ago.
Thank goodness.
And blessedly, the conversational tone is noted as warmer. The old models could feel, overly literal or frustratingly pedantic sometimes.
Yes.
This version reportedly understands your intent better and just cuts straight to the point. No more of those endless rambling digressions.
This all translates directly to efficiency gains. The sources repeatedly cite that the model is 11 times faster than its predecessor and operates at, 1% of the cost of a human expert.
1%. That is an economic lever that will restructure departments worldwide. It's not a marginal improvement, it's an order of magnitude shift in speed and cost.
We have to share the anecdotes because this is where the personality of 5.2 really shines through. Let's start with the fun one. The tester who asked it to translate a bad joke into Klingon.
This story is fantastic because it demonstrates creative inference, not just translation. So the tester, a self-proclaimed Trekkie, fed it this groan-inducing dad joke and asked for it in Tolmingen.
Okay.
Not only did 5.2 translate it perfectly, but it added a contextual punchline referencing a specific episode of Deep Space Nine. It effectively made the joke better and more relevant to the intended audience.
It improved the joke. That capability to go beyond the literal prompt and actually enhance the output, that suggests a higher level of abstract thought.
Absolutely. Now, for the hard productivity side, we heard about the beta user trying to debug a complex Python script. This user had been staring at the code for 6 hours.
Oh, we've all been there.
Exactly. Cycling through Stack Overflow, ready to just throw their monitor through the wall.
Yeah.
So they finally pasted the whole messy script into the pro version, explained what it was supposed to do. The AI delivered the fix, commented line by line, explaining the logic flaw in 60 seconds flat.
60 seconds.
That isn't just incremental saving. That's the total reconfiguration of 6 hours of agonizing expensive labor into 1 minute of zero-stress resolution.
What's fascinating here is that we aren't just relying on these exciting user anecdotes. We have actual academic benchmarks that verify these claims. This is the hard evidence.
This is what proves this model is fundamentally different from anything that's come before. So let's dive into that evidence. We have 3 crucial tests that determine if an AI is merely large or if it's truly intelligent.
Okay, the first one is the GDP-val benchmark from Stanford. This is a critical one. What exactly does it measure?
GDP-val measures knowledge tasks across 44 different white-collar occupations. So everything from drafting marketing copy and financial risk assessments to legal summary prep. It's assessing real-world professional competence.
So it's not just a quiz, it's asking whether the AI could competently staff a modern office.
Precisely. And the key finding here, the massive aha moment for anyone who works in the knowledge economy, is that the GPT 5.2 thinking model, it surpasses or ties top human professionals in 70.9% of cases.
70.9%.
70.9%.
Yeah, and
And these results were verified by human expert judges who were reviewing the output blindly.
so in 7 out of every 10 professional tasks you might charge a client for, the AI is performing at or above the level of a top human. That number is going to fundamentally change hiring, training, billing, everything.
I mean, if you're a legal researcher, this means the AI is doing 7 out of 10 analysis tasks you used to spend time and money on. Your role immediately shifts from preparation and drafting to reviewing and applying that crucial, nuanced human judgment.
Okay, but let me push back on that 70.9% figure for a second. It implies it is better than a human most of the time. Are we sure we aren't just measuring speed over quality?
That's a fair question. The Stanford study was meticulous. The human judges were evaluating quality, originality, and actionable insight, not just word count. The findings suggest the gap between, human intuition and machine synthesis has largely evaporated for routine professional analysis.
Okay, that's a big deal. So now let's look at the hard sciences. Where do we turn for evidence there?
For rigorous, pure science, we look at GPQ-A Diamond. This is a highly specialized, almost Google-proof test. It relies on PhD-level scientific questions where the answer can't be easily found online. It requires true synthesis and deep understanding.
And what did the pro version achieve there?
GPT 5.2 Pro scored an incredible 93.2%. That score is a clear signal of its utility for accelerating research. Imagine a team of biologists or physicists being able to instantly consult an expert assistant that can perform at 93% accuracy on PhD-level problems.
The compression of that research cycle would be massive. Finally, we have to talk about abstract reasoning. This has always been the Achilles heel for these models, right? The inability to solve problems where the rules are entirely new. So how did they fare on the ARC-AGI-2 tests?
This is perhaps the biggest technical leap. Previous top-tier models, even GPT 5.1, scored a weak 17.6% on these tasks because they relied purely on pattern matching.
Right.
GPT 5.2 Pro jumped drastically to an impressive 54.2%.
54% on abstract reasoning? To be clear, that means the machine can now perform this type of pure creative human thought more than half the time.
Almost half the time, yes. And while it still hasn't reached 100% human parity, this jump is a serious closing of the general intelligence gap. It also places 5.2 clearly ahead of its main competition. Gemini 3 sits at around 45% on that same test.
This is backed up elsewhere, I take it.
It is. The Stanford HAI AI Index for 2025 confirms it. It cites drastic improvements in other demanding benchmarks like MMMU and SWE bench, which is the critical software engineering test.
So it's not just an academic victory. The economic impact was instant and aggressive.
Absolutely. The market reaction was immediate. Developers, the people who actually build on this technology, signal their desperation and its perceived value by instantly hiking the API price by 40%. It hit 1.75 per million tokens.
They're willing to pay a massive premium because the performance justifies the cost.
It's the sound of a market consensus forming around the fact that this performance leap is real and immediately applicable.
Now, this level of power and speed, it inevitably forces us to look beyond the performance review and examine the consequences. This raises profound questions.
It does. I mean, we've seen the scores, and they're undeniable. The next logical step is analyzing how these scores translate into the workplace. Let's look specifically at that 70.9% GDP Val score. That is inevitably going to make business leaders anxious about their staffing models.
So what does the evidence say about the future of knowledge jobs? Are we talking about mass unemployment?
The studies coming out of MIT they're pretty pragmatic. They focus on reconfiguration rather than replacement. They predict that 20% of knowledge jobs will be fundamentally reconfigured by 2030.
Reconfigured, not eliminated.
Right. They won't disappear entirely, but the way we perform them will fundamentally change, similar to how spreadsheets changed accounting back in the 80s.
But there has to be a massive upside to offset that disruption.
There is. This reconfiguration is predicted to come with productivity gains averaging 40%. The consensus is rapidly shifting from fearing mass displacement to embracing mass augmentation.
A new role for workers, then.
Exactly. The new role is becoming that of an AI supervisor. You're leveraging the model's 11x speed while providing the necessary ethical, creative, and situational human oversight.
So it's a shift in role, moving humans up the value chain toward critical judgment. rather than just erasing the function itself. What about the larger global and, dare I say it, AGI risks?
Well, there are immediate access challenges. The model's currently only available via paid plans, which creates a clear gap between those who could afford this performance boost and those who can't.
A digital divide.
A very real one. But the more profound issue is the ethical dilemma posed by this fluid reasoning we're seeing, a capability that borders dangerously close to what we define as artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
The debate remains intense then. Are we prepared to govern a system that can creatively solve novel problems at a 54% success rate?
And if we fail to govern it effectively, do we risk creating a pure tech monopoly that dictates the direction of human knowledge? Or can we ensure that this new unprecedented power is structured and used for the common good? That's the immediate policy challenge.
So what does this all mean? Our deep dive into ChatGPT 5.2 confirms that this isn't just an upgrade, it is a catalyst that has instantly raised the ceiling of human productivity.
It democratizes access to elite expertise. Whether you're a coder, a legal analyst, a scientist, an entrepreneur, the ability to process massive context and perform at that 70.9% human professional level.
Yeah.
It effectively accelerates human progress by over 11 times.
The key takeaway for you, listening now, is that while this machine is incredibly fast, smart, and capable of abstract thought, it remains a tool. It requires human direction.
Right.
The AI amplifies your creativity. It doesn't replace it. You are still the creative director, the strategist, the final arbiter of judgment in your workflow.
We've seen the evidence.
Mm.
The GPQA and ARC-AGI benchmarks are undeniable. This model demands that you immediately rethink how you spend your workday. Stop doing the preparatory, research-heavy tasks and focus your human time on the complex judgment calls and the creative direction.
And as we close, we leave you with this final provocative thought. Based on that immense leap in abstract reasoning we've just talked about, the core dilemma is no longer about the technical capability of the AI, but about the speed of your personal ambition. Given this new, unprecedented level of capability and the freedom it offers, what is the single most important, ambitious project that you now feel equipped to explore that was previously out of reach?
Think about that. The power is there to solve problems that were too big, too complex, or just too tedious a few weeks ago. The real question is, what human problem are you going to solve with it?
We'll see you on the next deep dive. Until then, keep questioning.